Hey everybody, my name's Autumn Stringam and I'm your mom coach. Welcome to the first episode of a three-part series called Mom Triage 101. Today we are talking about your kid being in crisis and how you can help her to get the right care. So many times when our kid is in crisis, and I'm talking deep, emotional, scary crisis, they're just having a full-on meltdown. Maybe it's lasted for a couple of days, or maybe it's just taken you by surprise at 3 a.m. I don't know. I've seen all of those scenarios. We want to defer. We want to defer the responsibility somewhere else, but you don't get to, because you're the mom. Who is the mom? You are. Who gets to decide what happens next? You do. It's on you to make the right choice. And so I'm going to take you through a three-part series, how to help your teen when they are in crisis. And don't worry, mom, if you are a younger mom and you're not dealing with 15-year-olds yet, your turn's coming. Don't worry. You're going to need this information sometime. So listen up and let's go through this together. The first episode, we're just going to be talking about risk assessment. So I understand risk assessment. I took training for the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. Long name, great place to volunteer. And I took a few days training and then a whole bunch of on-the-job training. Being overseen by somebody who was professionally trained in this area of risk assessment and helping people to access the resources that they need in order to save their life on that particular day when they're calling in and they are saying that they are going to take their own lives. Risk assessment is an interesting thing. There's actually several steps. I would love it if you would go onto your Google. As soon as you're done with this video, go to Google and look for SAFE-T, SAFE-T. It's like a handout. It's like a little card that you can print off that workers on the hotline will use. And you basically go down all of the aspects of risk. So things like suicidal behavior in the past, a diagnosis that they may have had, symptoms that they're exhibiting, and there's, it's all very detailed on this card. Something that might precipitate suicidal ideation, something that makes them feel so desperate or so embarrassed that they think that they can never live it down. Other triggers, trauma, some sort of violent abuse, something that may have happened that would precipitate them wanting to stop living. Medical or treatment changes. So hold on, Mom. That's a thing. If your kid has started a medication in the last couple of months, you're not out of the woods yet, because a lot of these medications are understood. If they're mood-altering medications, they have a suicide risk somewhere in there. And heaven forbid your kid is one of those who reacts poorly to a medication that's supposed to help them. But you need to be aware of that. Medication changes, whether you're adding a med or even taking away a med, can shake that foundation and have your kid feeling really desperate and unexplainably desperate. And then, of course, one of the biggest risks for impulsive teens is access to firearms. We're going to talk about impulsivity in episode 3. So watch for that one, because episode 3 is where I'm going to start talking about, or I'll share some of the tips and tools that I have used in my life to get myself on solid ground and to keep my teens, who are at risk just like every teen. They're at risk for these kind of things at certain points in their lives. And I've been able to keep them on solid ground, even when it kind of seemed like the whole world was working against them. So I'll be sharing some of those tips for the reduction of impulsivity, the increase of calm and mental clarity, the ability to think through things and to be a problem solver. But for now, we're just talking Mom Triage 101. Is she safe? So the first thing that you need to do is go through and assess risk, and then also assess what you have in your favor, or what she has in her favor as far as protections go. So things that are known to be able to be employed as a protection against suicide include faith and a belief system. um, dreams and aspirations, goals, anything that that she might talk about, that where um, there's a part of her that really does want to live, who feels like they answer to somebody greater than themselves, or who feels a responsibility towards themselves or someone else in the family, even a pet. All of these things can be a protection against suicidal ideation because it gives somebody a reason to live. So having your teens have a responsibility or a base in faith, a belief system that is just commonly held by the family, or even goals and dreams and aspirations, something to reach for, is a huge protection, even when they are at risk in other areas for suicidal ideation. So we're figuring out if your kid is safe. Go and find that safety card, or go ahead and call somebody, because there are people who are trained just like me at 1-800-273-TALK. That's 8255. So 1-800-273-8255 is that call line, and anybody can call it from anywhere in the United States and be able to talk to somebody to help assess a need. So that's the first step to Mom Triage 101. Discover if you need to be calling 911 for your kid, or if, well, you wouldn't really. Discover if you're going to be going for medical intervention immediately, or if this is something where you've got a little time on your hands and the ability to avoid pathologizing every feeling. I think that this is a really critical step. If I thought my kid was actually in imminent danger, you can bet I would have her in the back of that car and I'd be down at the hospital so fast, because I know suicide is real. I've experienced it in my life and I've been there. I've been the one hospitalized in my early 20s. So I understand that this is a real risk and I know what it takes to get somebody there. I also know that sometimes people can feel so desperate, but when the risk is not imminent and they don't actually have a plan and they don't have access to something that could take their lives quickly or impulsively, that may give you the time that you need to employ the next steps toward helping somebody to feel better, while avoiding further massive humiliation, medications that are intended for short-term use and not long-term full life use. And also being able to learn some skills that they can get it together and they can keep it together and build a better foundation of health for themselves, for mental health. And I'm going to be working with you on that in episode 2 and 3. So look for it, Mom Triage 101. All right. We'll see you out there.